Really?
Yeah, from Carroll County. Yeah.
Great. Okay, anything else on corporate extension? Yes, sir?
Well, not about corporate, is it still public comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I recall some discussion about, when they were talking about whether they were gonna do the old nursing home or not do the old nursing home, about something about $80 a foot for the pipe, for the
Put the,
pel-
put the
pellet boiler, and therefore that couldn't be moved because that was already in place. The pad was in place, the piping was in place.
Yeah.
So if all these things are already done, how are we coming up with 300,000?
That was a grant, to put the piping in and a grant to buy the furnaces, total of $400,000. So that takes care of the piping and the furnaces,
But not the housing for it.
but not the housing for it.
So what's this
For
300,000?
the housing.
That's for the housing of it,
To hook it up.
and to hook it up.
Well, isn't that what the other 400's for, to hook it up?
No,
That was for the purchase of it.
purchase of the 2 boilers,
But we're not purchasing it, we're getting it through a grant.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So we shouldn't be buying the boiler, we're getting the boiler through a grant.
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
correct.
So we're not purchasing the boiler.
Well, you
We're
get a grant
receiving
and you
the
have to pay
grant.
for it.
And we're gonna pay for it that way, yeah.
But if all this work is already done, how do we come up with another $300,000?
The work that was done was merely the work associated with the pipe, laying the pipeline between the 2 buildings. That was the work. Then the other cost was the cost of purchasing the 2 boilers. Those 2 things, laying the pipe work and the cost of the boilers, amounted to $400,000, which was paid for entirely by the grant.
Right.
Now, in order to house these 2 pieces, the boilers,
Yeah.
there have to be some alterations made within the building to house those 2 pieces of equipment. And that's the monies that we're discussing at this point.
And that doesn't fall under the million that they were discussing?
No,
This is above and beyond the million?
it's altogether separate.
Because I thought the boiler room, the laundry, the maintenance were gonna be coming under that $1 million to redo the old nursing
You're
home.
correct, the laundry, the maintenance, and corporate extension was gonna come under the $1 million.
And the boiler room.
No, not the boiler room. Boiler room's already there. We have a boiler room there already.
Right.
It's connecting the pellet furnace to that boiler room and to the new nursing home. That's the connection, that's the money that we're talking about.
But the piping's already there
But
to
there are
the
other-
new nursing
yeah,
home,
there
is it not?
Yes.
It's from,
It's other connections, other than the pipe.
Well, then, just send the boiler back. Give them the boiler back and go another route, because that's ridiculous.
That is as much as the grant what they're getting almost.
I mean, and wouldn't someone have looked into this
Yeah.
before you would even, during the design phase of what the entire cost is gonna be, before you say, okay, let's take a $400,000 grant for a boiler, but then we're not gonna factor in all the costs associated with it. That doesn't even make sense.
right,
You're absolutely right.
okay, we hear you. Any further comments regarding public input?
Well,
Yeah,
actually, I called the John Deere place out on 16.
yeah,
John Deere doesn't even make its own snow blowers,
mm-hmm,
so they don't carry them. So an Aaron's from there would be 2,600, and they also carry Toro, which they said would be the same as a commercial grade Aaron's, but the biggest one they have is 28 inch, and that would be $2,000.
okay. Yes, Ed?
I just had a procurement question. Don't all the counties purchase things together to get better rates, or is that
All the
not there
counties,
yet?
no. The only thing that they are doing altogether is buying energy as a pool, okay?
Not equipment or anything?
No.
that-
No.
Thank you.
I tried to get them to look at purchasing medications, because if the whole state, all the counties within the state did it, it should be cheaper. But trying to get the counties all to agree on something is, we did get the energy one, and even then, not all 10 counties are participating. Grafton County has a separate deal. They don't have they don't have the New Hampshire Cooperative, they don't have public service, they have their own energy system over there. But anyway, that's the only thing right now that's pulled together. Anybody else got any public input? Okay, then let's hear some reports. You have a report to make,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon?
Yesterday, I was at a session, Carroll County Regional Coordinated Council session, a strategic planning session, and this had to do with transportation. I will preface this with the fixed route buses will be going online within the next 6 weeks, sometime, maybe even earlier. But the hang up has been taken care of, and we are ready to get these things on the road. We're going to be hiring and training bus drivers, and we'll be doing that. Basically, what the meeting was about was how this transportation system, not just the bus system that we have, or we will have, but also various other transportation means, RSVP, all of the service agencies that we have that take people to and fro, how we can get everybody into a package so that the community, the entire county, will know what's available to them and how they can access these different kinds of rides for whatever purposes they need. And we worked on that. What they're trying to do is to connect all available transportation systems so that if you needed to, if you didn't have a vehicle, for example, and there are over 700 households here in Carroll County that don't have vehicles. We're not talking about people who don't drive, that's additional, but who don't have licenses or don't use their cars anymore, the elderly, for example. Anyway, how we can hook everybody up together, so if you wanted to go from Carroll County to Rockland, to Dover or to Rochester, how you can do that, how that could be worked. And that's what this system, this program is all about. Just as it directly concerns the county, they asked, there is a grants that come from the federal government, and somebody has to take the money and distribute it. Not necessarily, and it cannot be the same organization, Tri-County CAP, because they are running the system, so they can't do it. So it has to be some outside agency, and they want to know if the county would do this. Now, since we do this for other agencies, I said that didn't seem like something that would be difficult to do. There is a 5% fee that we would get to handle that program. Whether or not we'll do that, that has not been set in stone. They haven't gone out for the grant yet, so those are things that are still open. But that's the possibility for Carroll County to undertake. Any questions that I might be able to answer?
Go ahead, Mr. Babson.
Thank you. Madam Commissioner, have they figured out what the fees are? And the reason I asked that question is about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, Harry Merrow, Representative Merrow's wife was at breakfast, and she said she was going to take her father up to Conway because it was too expensive to take the bus. And she said that he'd been quoted $37 for the round trip. I can't believe that. They said it was so much for each leg.
Yeah.
And is that in fact an accurate statement, or have they come out with after 6 months, they yet have a pay schedule?
Yes. I'm smiling because my husband has been on this as well, having to do with veterans and things like that who we try to get on the bus. The problem that is there is that they were trying to run this demand response bus for something that it was not meant to be. They were trying to use it like the fixed route. So that was why the costs had risen up so high. Basically, the cost will come down once they're able to, once the fixed route system goes in, which would be $3 a ride. So you can go from Wolfboro to North Conway for $3.
One public? Just get them.
That's, you know,
One
that's
public.
number
Will
one.
they stop in Ossipee on the way to?
Yeah,
The public
yeah.
one.
Oh, I just use that as an example.
Well, yeah,
You
but-
can go from Moultonboro to Conway, Moultonboro to Wolfboro, also on the same $3. Then, once that is established, the demand response system should be a lot less. First of all, if the person is a senior, or if the person receives Medicaid, or if the person receives TANF money, then they do not pay. They're asked for a donation, or something that they can afford. If you don't meet any of those three criteria to use the demand response bus, then there is a fee for the use of the service, but the fee would be a lot less than what has been established to date, because the need would be reduced. They're not trying to do what the fixed route service or the flexible, it's called a flexible route service, is doing. They could bring you to the flex route bus. You can pick up the bus there. You can take the demand response to the nearest flex route stop, and then pick up the flex route, and then go on from there. It's very hard in a rural community such as we have to offer what many people who come from a city are expecting. When you come from a city, you know, a bus ride, you know, bus may come by every 15 minutes or so, and you get on the bus, and for $1.75 or whatever it is, you go wherever you want to go. We're not going to be able to do that. That's just, you know, it's not feasible that we can do something like that. So we have to figure out how we can do this in stages, and that's what they're doing. But if you need a ride on the demand response bus, the small bus, the cost of that should go down once the new system, once the flexible system goes into.
How long is it gonna take? Because it sounds like the other buses are gonna be used if you're gonna be charging $37 a ride.
They're not going to. What I'm saying is, I don't think they're going to be $37 a ride anymore. That's number one. By the way, the number, and that you surprised me with that, because the number I heard yesterday was more, was $25. So, but I understand what you're saying, because I hear all kinds of different numbers.
And all of them are shocking at that.
Yes, absolutely
For a
shocking.
system that was supposed to help the
I
elderly
absolutely
that
agree.
couldn't get there, and the people that are on fixed incomes would be charging more than you could take a taxi for that price.
I totally agree, and I have said that at any number of meetings that I have attended, often and loudly.
Are we going to,
Go ahead, Mr. Babson.
Dorothy, are we going to get any figures? It's now been 6 months. And are we going to get any figures on what kind